Hi there, welcome to our Performance Edge Weekly Wisdom, where spirit drives performance. Coach Sol here. Today we are going to discuss the sharp rise in American suicides and how it's reflecting a worsening trend of a mental health crisis in the nation. By the end of this video today, not only will you have a real pulse of the suicide rates and the deterioration of the mental health trend, but also you will be equipped with expert preventative strategies. And most importantly, I will also share with you the root cause of suicide from a new understanding and a new lens that was understood since ancient Egypt, and how suicide can be prevented when it is handled proactively with ancient and real knowledge. Ready? So according to statistics released a couple of weeks ago by the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, the latest provisional estimate for suicides, death in the United States, increased by 2.6% in 2022 to 49,449 deaths, as official data continues to show an upward trend, unfortunately. So the rise in 2022 follows a 5% increase in US citizens taking their own lives in 2021. Clearly, this new number is suggesting that the figure reveals a worsening mental health crisis in the nation, United States. So this is serious. And I need to say it without sugarcoating it. When it comes to suicides, far too many people and their families are suffering. And one life lost to suicides is far too many. So, appointed government officials are confirming that 9 in 10 Americans believe that America is facing a mental health crisis. 9 in 10 Americans believe that. So clearly, authorities are claiming that mental health has become the defining public health and society challenge of our time. So in this video today, we'll review the most commonly accepted guidelines for a comprehensive approach to suicide prevention, along with the steps to help safeguard people from the risk of suicide and support them when in crisis. And later on, toward the end of the video, I will introduce you to a total new understanding of a root cause of suicide that is based on basic spirit indicators, which are far more reliable, and that was understood in ancient Egypt. And if you stick around till the end, I will teach you an effective technique you can use on a daily basis to help calibrate yourself or the people that are very dear to you. Ready? So we got to look at the current situation that we really need to really assess. So the disturbing rise in suicides necessitate immediate action across our society to handle the worrisome loss of life from heartbreaks that are preventable. And everyone needs to, and each of us can play a role in this effort to save lives and reverse the growth in suicide deaths. Just to put it in perspective, in 2020, there were 12,300,000 people seriously consider suicides. 12.3 million adults seriously consider suicides. And about 3.5 million people made plans to kill themselves. And unfortunately, 1.7 million in 2020 attempted to kill themselves. So if these numbers, looking at the human tragedy, is not enough, let's look at the financial aspect. Suicides and suicide attempts cost to the nation in 2020 over $500 billion. This is billion with a B. So after declining in 2019 and 2020, suicide death increased approximately 5% in the United States in 2021. And so now the provisional estimate released a couple of weeks ago indicate that suicide deaths further increased in 2022, rising from 183 deaths in 2020 to an estimated 49,449 deaths in 2020. And unfortunately, some groups, including veterans, youth, older adults, and more, have a greater risk for suicide or suicide attempts than the US general population. So what is relevant here when you look at those numbers is to look at the current methodologies. And the CDC has a comprehensive suicide prevention program. And now they're funding about 24 programs to implement and evaluate a comprehensive public health approach to suicide prevention, with a special focus on populations that are disproportionately affected by suicides. So there are resources for suicide prevention for action by the CDC, and they detail the strategy with the best available evidence to reduce suicides. So the programs, the practices, the policies, and the prevention resources can be tailored to the needs of population and communities. And I have a link below right there for further exploration. So the National Action Alliance for Suicide Prevention suggests about 5 steps to help safeguard people from the risk of suicide and supporting them when in crisis. The first step, just ask. What's been found is that asking and talking about suicides may in fact reduce rather than increase suicidal ideation. So it's really relevant there. The number 2 tips, strategy, help them keep safe. So meaning reducing a suicidal person access to little means, knife, guns, right? So reducing access to those little means is an important part of suicide prevention. And the number 3 is be there, just be there. Because increasing someone's connectedness to others and limiting their isolation has shown to be a productive factor against suicides. And the number 4 strategy, help them connect. Meaning, individuals that call the 988 lifeline, if you are not aware, it's basically a lifeline that you can call. It's 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. You can text or you can chat online, 988lifeline.org, to connect with a trained crisis counselor 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days. So they really found out that the individuals that called the 988 were significantly more likely to feel less depressed. And number 5, finally, just follow up. Follow up. So after you connected to a person experiencing thought of suicides with the immediate support system that they need, following up with them to see how they're doing can help increase the feeling of connectedness, of support. And because there are evidences that even a simple form of reaching out can potentially reduce that person's risk for suicide. And again, there is a link for resources prevention you can see right there by the CDC. So why all that is important? I want to bring up a point because the CDC has a goal, which is to build a national program to reach the nation's goal of reducing suicide by 20% by 2025. So those are really all honorable goals. And so when you look at the current results, it is important to understand why the overall number of deaths by suicide increased by 2.6% from 2021 to 22. So looking at the numbers, these are some of the highlights you need to be aware. So the number of suicide for male is 4 times higher than of a female. So the suicide rate among male in 2021 was approximately 4 times higher than the rate among females. While male makes up about 50% of the population, but nearly 80% of suicides. So those are really important numbers, and there are some hypotheses, and which of them is that many people still believe that asking for help is a sign of weakness. So, and you can look at some of the numbers here, looking at the age group perspective for suicides. The first age group that kill themselves the most are people between the age of 25 to 44. That's the first age group. And last year, they reported 16,843 deaths. And that was an increase of 0.7% from prior year. And the second age group is the age of 45 to 64. There are 15,632 people that killed themselves in 2021. And that is an increase of 6.6% from 2021. And the third group, largest that killed themselves, is people over 65 years old. And there are 10,433, increased from 8.1% from 2021. So age between 10 and 24 years old, that's 6,529 people, which is a decrease from 8.4% from prior year. So those are really stunning numbers. And we got to ask ourselves, why is it not working? And we should salute the effort and the resources that the officials are putting in. And just to highlight one of them, for example, the U.S. surgeon, Vivek Murthy, recognized and had kind of said that these numbers are a sobering reminder, to quote him, right? That these numbers are a sobering reminder of how urgent it is that we further expand access to mental health care and address root causes of mental health struggle, and recognize the importance of checking on and supporting one another. If you or a loved one are in emotional distress or suicide crisis, please know that your life matters and that you are not alone. So here in that statement from a U.S. surgeon, we can see, and what is good is that the authorities are talking about addressing the root causes. And they are referring here to isolation and the need for one to support each other. So, bravo, kudos. It is a step in a good direction. But unfortunately, as a coach, an applied spirit coach, and a peak performance coach, I will say that unfortunately, that is not still addressing the root causes. And I'm sorry to say that the issue will get worse before it gets better, mainly because current solutions are treating the symptoms and not addressing the real root causes, right? And you might be asking, hey, so what is the solution? And the solution lies in understanding a new paradigm. That new paradigm was understood in ancient Egypt. And you can find out more about that by watching my video about the quantum door. The quantum door is basically a spirit elevation platform system that equips people to move them from being rigid, from being stuck, from being overwhelmed, to being effective in the flow and easy state of optimal performance. So the quantum door will help people move into that state. So in that, you might be asking, so what is that new paradigm? That new paradigm is simply that humans experience themselves in 5 dimensions. Yes, 5 dimensions. And this is not a sci-fi. But what that means is that your reality is nothing but your spirit actualized into form. Yes, basically what that means is that the energy that powers life itself is spirit. And spirit reflects itself in the different dimensions. according to a rule of each dimension. And you know them. First one is physical dimension. And in that regard, the emotional dimension, for example, is only one of them. And it is a reflection of your spirit animation. So only the true understanding of how human being operates will help provide a sustainable solution to this new mental pandemic. So it's only in that new understanding, instead of focusing on the symptoms or traditional prevention strategy discussed earlier, the quantum though equip people to first understand the three main drivers that impact your experience in the reality. And they are social conformity, self-projection, and resources. And you can check all this in some of my previous videos about the full explanation of the drivers. But here, because of the topic, I don't have much time to go in length. But basically, these three drivers, they are the basis of energy animating your reality. So I want to make sure that you have that and this understanding and foundation. So with that, you might be saying, okay, Saul, okay, I get it, I understand. So what do I do instead? So I'm going to share with you what you can do instead. But basically, there are a few things to understand. And in the quantum, though, we look at the basic spirit indicator. So here in the case of suicide, look at emotional pain. So pain here is a basic spirit indicator. And here are the facts. People take their own life because of emotional pain, even if they're going through a physical pain sometimes. But people take their own life because of emotional pain they are going through. So emotional pain here is a basic spirit indicator that reflects the consequences of the ignorance you have about who you are from your essence. And that ignorance stems from the fact that you are not able to see your true reflection coming from your essence in your reality. And unfortunately, you are not able to see your true reflection from your essence because of illusions that are on your way. Yes, like a dusty mirror, illusions interfere for you to see your true reflection, and that causes misalignment and pain as a result. So people commit suicide as a result of not experiencing their authentic self and their dominant elements in the physical dimensions, right? So the physical dimension that are being animated from the principle and the spirit dimension. So that is in fact the misalignment, where there is no energy to fuel your experience of self in the reality dimension. So pain, when you see it, keeps increasing. It keeps increasing the more people hold on to their illusions, trying to escape and looking for refuge in the illusion. Unfortunately, the challenge is that illusions are manufactured reflection of self rooted in fear. Yes, in fear. And fear is coming from the misalignment between your authentic desires and your reality that is driven from the three drivers we discussed earlier. So here is what you need to do. Ready? Take a pen and write this down. First step, be self-honest about your emotional pain. Yes, be self-honest. I'm not saying you are not an honest person, but be clear and sincere about what you are feeling. Because denial and justification are your enemies. So if you're really feeling that pain, acknowledge it. And it's radical honesty. I call it radical emotion. Radical honesty. So is the emotional pain increasing or is that pain decreasing? If that pain is decreasing, it means you are getting more alignment between your authentic desires and your reality. Bravo. But if you notice that pain keeps increasing, it means your illusions are gaining more roots and the gap of a misalignment is growing. So why? This is where you need to look at the second tip that I'm going to share with you. The second tip is this. Your reality is spirit into form. So this is what you need to, because this is what you need to understand. That's what I'm really going to really share with you. Because illusions are made up reflections. They have no animating power for your existence. Mainly, there is no animated energy passing from the spirit and principle dimension onto the reality dimension that you are feeling in. So with no correct reflection coming from the spirit dimension, the physical dimension reflects as well that. So in a sense, there is no more animating energy. Basically, there is no more life. So people take their life away in the physical dimension as a confirmation of a lack of animating energy that is no longer present as a consequence of being already disconnected from the spirit dimension. So in that sense, unfortunately, taking their own life away by killing themselves, they establish the reality of your existence, which is not. So reality is spirit into form. Because without real information from authentic self and from your authentic desire, there is no reflection from the spirit. Basically, it can no longer become a form it is meant to be. So it ceases to be. And so the illusion held onto is a reason for the suicide. It becomes a dead end. So in that way, I gave all this an explanation because the second basic spirit indicator you need to look at are basically fear and pride. So check your fear and your pride, because both of these, they don't allow people to become humble enough to see the illusion and be able to make the change they desire. But instead, people fight tooth and nail to hold on to the illusion and the paradigm. So those are the two steps that you can use and do in a powerful way. So since you've been around for a while now, let me share with you a bonus tip. And this is really important. Pay attention now. So here, you need to journal every day. And steps again, be self-honest and capture where you feel constantly. And here are things you need to write. So capture 5 energies, very specific. You need to capture the energy of guilt, the energy of shame, the energy of pride, the energy of envy, the energy of jealousy. So guilt, shame, pride, envy, and jealousy. Why are those 5 energies important? Because they are negative fire and negative water. So they consume you and drown you. So it is what you need to do specifically as you journal every day. If you have any of these energies that I share, right? So what you need to do is notice, are these energy growing stronger or they're going weaker? So if you notice that they are growing stronger, you are in a red zone. Yes, because those energy consume you or drown you. It's negative fire or water. So know that your biggest problem is in the values that drive you. Those values are the source of your misplaced pride. Why? Because you are most likely thinking that everything must be controlled by you. So that's a bonus tip. And I hope this serves you. And just remember this, be courageous, because fear and its experiences are always caused by a false reflection of your spirit. It's basically an adoption of illusion of yourself in your world that prevents you to experience your authentic desire. And yes, I know I would like to continue this talk, but I think I've gone a little bit and give you enough material for you to really chew on. But here is what I really want to do. If you want to know more and continue this conversation with me, please sign up to our brand new community, Free Souls, and you will get access to more tips and relevant answers to your real problems. The link is in my comment below. So, and also, if you don't know about it, If you have any issue you want me to talk about, I'm making myself available. And you can submit that in the comments below, or you can request specific video topics by logging onto www.thequantumdo.com/videos. Again, www.thequantumdo.com/videos. And before I leave you today, I want to say that each of us, from humanity's standpoint, each of us has a role to play. And you can help. Do you agree? Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me now that with all the facts and data? Do you agree with me that one life lost to suicide is one too many? Clearly, I hope you agree that the disturbing rise in suicides requires immediate action across our society to handle the worrisome loss of life from heartbreaks that are preventable. Everyone needs to, and each of us can play a role in efforts to save lives and reverse the growth in suicide death. As fellow citizens and humanitarians, I'm calling upon you because it is crucial that we have the right information to make the biggest difference in people in distress before it is too late. That is why I'm here, to provide you with a different angle of what's going on, of how we can improve the situation. With that said, as always, failure is a necessity prerequisite for human excellence. Until next time, live your truth. Koshol out.